What you guys got another video? Your Firefox is not private. Fix these settings today. If you're using a browser like Firefox, many people will just download it and install it and start using it. Unfortunately, in today's world, you're going to have to make some settings changes to make it a little bit more private for you. This way you're not sharing as much data with Firefox as possible. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Now, a lot of people do use Firefox today. I'm not one of them, but so many people do use different types of browsers for whatever reason, and everyone's going to have their favorite. So this is how you can do it with Firefox. So the first thing you want to do is going to download it and install it on PC. We're on a Windows-based PC, but this also will be the same for Linux. Now, I'm pretty sure many people have just downloaded a browser of their choice and just started using the browser thinking it's perfectly set up the way it is. And unfortunately, that's not the case. You do need to harden the security of any sort of browser to make it a bit more private. So you can see we've just installed it on our system, and straight away we're getting welcome to Firefox. This is the very first protocol that you need to take care of. You can see right here we've got a continue button, and there's also manage diagnostic and interaction data. Basically telemetry. So I'm going to uncheck send technical and interactional data with Mozilla Firefox, and that is now set. Now we've got a choice to pin our Firefox to our taskbar and also set Firefox as our default browser. So let's take care of the basics first and set our default browser as Firefox. So it should automatically open up like so, and you can now click on set default and it will set the default HTML and HTML as your default browser as Firefox. You can do the rest if you want. Now you've got a choice to import all of your bookmarks on your default browser of the past, which would have been Microsoft Edge here. I've got no bookmarks in here, so I'm going to skip this section, and I'm going to click on skip to the next part here, and we should now be finished with the installation process. So there we go. You can now sign in if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And this is the very default page that you're going to get with Mozilla Firefox. If you don't like this look and you want to change it, you can do. You can go down to the little pen icon down on the bottom right-hand side and make changes to your front panel page here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off all the widgets and all of the news because I don't want to be blasted with all of this information. So I'm going to go down here and click on Customize. And this will open up the customization panel. It's a lot less than what you get inside Microsoft Edge. All you need to do is just toggle these switches off to the stuff you don't want. I don't want widgets, and I don't want recommended stories. And also, if you don't want shortcuts, you can turn those off as well. These are these little shortcuts here. They are quite useful, but for this video, I'm going to turn them off. And this is where you can do it. So let me go ahead and do that right here. Now, if you don't like the plain background right here, you can change the wallpaper. You just need to toggle this on and select which wallpaper you want. They've got tons to choose from. So I'm just going to go ahead and just show you a couple right here so you can see exactly what it looks like. So just choose one of the darker ones if that's what you want to go with, the darker theme, then that would be okay. That's the basics all set up. Let's now go into the settings panel by going up to the top right-hand corner and click the hamburger bar and go to settings. Now we're inside here. This is where we're going to make a lot of our changes. Let's go down and click on privacy and security for the first tab. And this should open up another panel where we can see some of the settings. Now, the first place we're going to look at is enhanced tracking protection. So this will be the first place that we're going to start. By default, it's set to standard. And you can see here, strong, reliable protection that work smoothly and most websites. So you can either make this more strict by going into advanced settings here and then go down to strict and set this here. This is a stronger protection that block more trackers, but may cause some sites to break. They might not work correctly because you might need to have the standard option available, but you can leave it on strict and basically go back in and change it if you're having issues with some particular website. But this is the more protected route. I've also got fixed minor site issues checkmarked here, and I'm leaving it on strict. So if you want less hassle, then leave it on standard. But if you do want more protection against cookies, then get it on strict. Okay, so that is that option now taken care of. We can now move on to the next section. Let's scroll down a little bit here. Built-in VPNs, we're not too worried about that right here, but this is where you would obviously deal with your browsing data. So if you've got a lot of data stored on here, you can clear the cookies and site data every time the browser is closed. If you want that option, then check mark this box right here, and it will clear all the cookies every time you close your browser down. Next, you've also got your history settings right here. This will choose what you want Firefox to remember when you close the browser. So you can go to customize here and click on this option, and you can basically set this the way you like it. So you can see right here, allow use private browser mode, remember browsing and download history, remember search and form history, and clear history when Firefox closes. So you can check and customize which you want in yours. If you don't want it to remember your search and form history, and you don't want it to store any sort of download history, you can uncheck these ones and go back here. And you can see there's some other options available right here. Now, this is a pretty nuclear option which will clear your browsing history every single time you close your browser. And if that's what you want, then you can obviously check mark whatever ones you want to do here. There is also even more a nuclear option right here saying never remember any sort of history, and it will remove all of your history every single time you close your browser down. I wouldn't recommend having these extreme options checkmarked, but that's entirely up to you what you do. But a lot of people always ask questions about it, and that's where you'll set that up. Additional protections, you can see tell websites not to sell or share my data. That's definitely want to be checkmarked. And suggest Firefox relay email masks. You can put that on as well. Next, we're going to move on down to the DNS over HTTPS. This is for people that want to change the DNS over HTTPS settings on the browser level, and you can see default protection is set right here. But if you do want to do advanced settings, you would come in here, and you could basically put this to custom because we are on default right here. So if you want to do custom, you would go to the custom option, put the radio button in there, and this will allow you then to choose a DNS server of your choice. By default, it's Cloudflare. They do have another option which you can use by using the drop down arrow right here, and that is NextDNS. And if that's not good enough and you want to use a different type, you can use the custom option and choose a custom DNS that you want to use. If you want to add some exceptions in here, you can do by adding the exceptions of websites inside here and put them in there if you want to do that. Okay, so that's the DNS section done. Let's move on down here to the next option, which is connection and software security. Let's go to the advanced settings right here, and we're going to click on this option right here. This is going to open up the HTTPS only mode. If we look right here, it says don't enable HTTPS only mode, and that is what is set by default. I would suggest that you enable HTTPS only mode in all windows, and this will force HTTPS to be enabled. So we're going to go ahead and do that right here rather than leaving it on the don't enable HTTPS only mode. So that's what we're going to set it as. Now there's also some manage exceptions right here, and you can add those in. If you've got websites you want to add in, this is where you'll add them in. Next, we're going to go to the next option to make sure they're all check marked. You can see deceptive content and dangerous software protection. And we also have privacy panel settings above that. So make sure all of these are check marked. These are to block dangerous and deceptive content, block dangerous downloads, and warn you of unwanted and uncommon software. So make sure you've got all those check marked inside here for your security measures and protection against nasties on the internet. That's where you would check mark those. They should be check marked by default. But let's move on to the search options now. I know a lot of privacy conscious people refuse to use Google, but that is your default search engine. I do believe it is the best search engine out there, but there is some privacy conscious people that will obviously shout at me in the comments if I don't put DuckDuckGo. If you want to use DuckDuckGo, this is where you would change it, or you want to use any other search engine, you can change it right here. This will be for the more privacy conscious people, and this is where you would enable it. I use Google search because I do believe it is the best search engine for finding things. But if you're on that privacy sort of train, then obviously I would change that to DuckDuckGo. It's not perfect. It doesn't find a lot of stuff on DuckDuckGo, but it's more private according to a lot of people on the internet. But that's your choice. You can use whatever search engine you want. Also, passwords and autofill. This is where you would obviously save a lot of this stuff. I don't save autofill usernames and passwords. I would normally uncheck all of this, and I've made videos about this before, and also form information and stuff. I uncheck all that because you don't want all this stuff checkmarked, but I'm leaving it as it is by default. But this is where you would change it in this section right here. But I'm leaving it enabled for this video because it might cause people some headaches. The same thing goes for the payment methods. If you want to save autofill payment information, then leave this alone. I personally don't save any information when I'm doing banking online or doing any sort of purchases online. I don't want it saving my address, my autofill address and all that sort of stuff on the browser. Some people find it very useful to have all this saved. So whenever you go to a site where you want to pay for something, it will automatically fill in all of your information without having to type it out. I personally find that a little bit of a privacy issue, but that's entirely up to you. But that's where you would change it. This is where you're going to change all your appearance for the browser, whether you want dark mode, light mode, or system, tied to your system. Is also browser themes right here. You can change them here, and related sites is here. You can customize all this layout right here. This is for the appearance of your browser. Inside tabs and browsing, this was where you would change your layout, whether you want vertical tabs, horizontal tabs, and how you want to configure your tabs. You can configure them here. If you don't want to use AI, you can uncheck all the AI stuff here by just unchecking it. There's also options here that you might want to customize to your own liking. Everyone is going to be different, but coming on down, you've got your page navigation, your media, and also performance. Here you can use recommended performance. Now, if you have the mindset of recommendations means privacy concern, then uncheck any of the recommendations that they offer, like these here, recommended features and stuff like that. You could just turn all that stuff off if you want to. Accessibility here, again, you can use this if you've got accessibility issues. Language, and also here, this is where you customize all your spell check and language and translations and things like that. Also, AI controls. If you're not an AI fanboy, then obviously you can just enable this and it will block all AI enhancements in the browser. This will put it back to stock settings like a default browser. It will obviously turn a lot of the features off, as you can see right here. I'm not going to read all this information. I know a lot of people don't like AI, and if you don't like it, you can just toggle this on and it will block AI enhancements. And there's lots of them right here that it's going to block. So make sure you read all the information there. It says new and current AI enhancements are blocked by default. To unlock this, you would just obviously go back and turn that feature off. So there are the AI options available. You've got permissions and data. This is changing and managing your website permissions, what they can get access to. If you don't want them having access to location and also camera and microphone and things like that, you can block all of their requests. You know those annoying little boxes that pop up, and they obviously use that as a spam. You can see it popping up there and you have to keep closing it. If you don't want that happening, then just block it and it will stop it from happening inside your browser. And it's broken down into categories like location, camera, device apps and services, local network devices, microphone, speaker, and so on, notifications and things like that. Okay, so let's move on to the next section right here. So coming on down, we've got block pop-ups and third-party redirects. We also got that check mark there. And we also have, you can see, Firefox data collection and use. This is what we did at the very start. But if you've got already a pre-installed Firefox, you may want to come in here and uncheck a lot of this stuff, because this is sending diagnostic data back to Mozilla Firefox. So you can see right here, allow Firefox to improve features. You've also got send daily usage pings to Mozilla. You can uncheck that. You've got automatically send crash reports and things like that in here. I would uncheck all this if you are privacy conscious and you don't want anything to do with sending information back. Then this will be the section where you would do that. You would just read through all the information. But you can see I've already done a lot of this during the installation process. But if you've got it installed already, this is the place to deal with it. Now, when it comes to add-ons, I'm not big on add-ons in my browser, but I know a lot of people use tons of add-ons in their browser. I find it slows the browser down, but also it's a major privacy concern when you're adding these extensions into your browser, because then you are trusting the person who's created that extension. And it's been well documented that some of these extensions do harvest data, and they also contain malware in some of them. So be careful in which extensions you put onto your system. But if you like using them, that's where you can add them. Next, we got the About config. This also gives us access to a very risky area, but there is one final thing that you need to take care of inside here. And it's going to do with fingerprinting. And if you don't know what all that is about, you can do a search on the internet and it will tell you all about it. I'm not going to go into great detail in this video, but I'm just going to put fingerprinting right here, and you'll see that privacy fingerprinting protection is true. That means it's on, but there is one right here that you need to turn from false to true, and that is called privacy.resist fingerprinting. You can see this is set to false, and to turn this feature on, we're going to go over to the right hand side, click on this, and you'll see it's now turned it from false to true, and that is for privacy.resist fingerprinting, and we've now turned that feature on. And that's pretty much it. They are the most important ones that you can configure and adjust in your browser in Firefox. If you want to see this for other browsers, then let me know in the comments section down below. Hopefully this has helped some people out. Of course, everyone's going to have a different opinion on certain things, which ones you should enable and disable. The choice is yours at the end of the day. It's your computer. You can configure it the way you like, but I'm just showing you some of the areas where you can configure and some of the ones that I would turn off. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. It does help the channel grow, and give the video a thumbs up. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to all my YouTube members. I really do appreciate the support. Hope you're having a lovely weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video or on the Discord server. The link's in the video description. Bye for now.